Okay guys, welcome back to Warhammer 40k. Trying out this new voice recorder, voiceover thing. I'm going to try and do a voice over some pictures here. First tell you a bit about our experience at the Pompey Pillage tournament, which was a lot of fun. And then I've got a video showing off a brutal Eldar list, which I'm taking to a tournament up in Mansfield at the weekend, which is battle forged with no real limitations on anything. You just have to be battle forged, so that'll be a lot of fun as well. So just a few words about the Pompey Pillage first. Really great event. We went last year as well. A lot of fun. Interesting take on comp this year. Basically, it was 1,800 points. As many detachments as you want, but you had to fit everything into 10 battle points. And you had to pay battle points for various things. For example, taking an extra detachment was a battle point. Taking 2 of a unit was a battle point. Taking 3 of a unit was 3 battle points. Taking 4 was 6 battle points, and so on and so on. Gargantuan creatures also, you paid a battle point for each wound or hull point. So a different style of comp. We still managed to fit in quite a nasty list, in my opinion. You couldn't take the full shebang with Wraith Knight, Warp Hunters, everything. But we figured out how to break the format, we thought. So I took 2 Warp Hunters in Eldar CAD, bare bones, 2 units of 4 Scat Bikes, a Farsit on a bike with the Spirit Stone, and a unit of 7 Warp Spiders, and I took a Allied Riptide Wing with 5 Riptides, so 3, all with burst cannon, target locks, early warning override in a unit, then a unit of 1 with a burst cannon, and another unit of 1 with an iron accelerator. So a very powerful list, lots of shooting, a load of D templates from the Warp Hunters, and then some MSU units as well for objectives and other such things. So very powerful list. My brother took 8 Riptides and a Riptide Wing. He actually managed to fit it in, and a CAD with 5 Tetras. I think it was a unit of 2, a unit of 2, and a unit of 1. So that was his 10 battle points, and he did quite well as well. Very brutal list. Incredible amount of shooting and a resilience. We made a mistake though with this tournament. We thought Death Stars would be quite unviable. I was under the impression that Pompey, because they comp quite a lot, I was under the impression they were comping invisibility to the ITC style of BS1, WS1, meaning templates can still hit the unit. We also thought D weapons would be nerfed, but a few weeks beforehand we looked at the pack and they weren't. So we made a mistake thinking that Death Stars wouldn't be very viable, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your opinion, that they were. So I played against actually 3 different Psychic Death Stars throughout the tournament. I didn't take a Calexis, so I did struggle against these lists. We thought with all the battle points for taking multiple librarians and stuff, you wouldn't be able to fit in the Death Star along with all the detachments, but you actually could fit in a conclave with 4 librarians and then quite a lot of other independent characters as well. So I'll just quickly run through my games. I'm going to have some photos keeping you occupied in the background as I speak. So my first game was against a nice guy called Gavin. Haven't met him before. He was a very good player, knew his stuff. He's playing a Cyclopia Cabal list, very powerful list, with 4 sorcerers, all level 3 on bikes. He had a big unit of Khorne Demonkin, 15 Flesh Hounds from a Gore pack with minimum cultists and bikers. He also had Khan the Betrayer in there. He had a Chaos Lord with the Axe of Blind Fury. He had Cypher to give him hit and run and shrouding. He had a Chaos Sikaran as well with the Relic, which was preferred enemy Tau. It's actually a very powerful list against mine. When I was looking at it, I was like, oh my god. Tough first round opponent. He also had first turns. He scouted up, got off Invis, got off Endurance, shot one of my Riptides with a unit of 3 and killed it quite luckily. I deployed conservatively, so I deployed the Riptides in a corner and then 1 Warp Hunter in the other corner. Tried to minimise his targets for the shooting power as much as possible. Everything else was in reserve. Then in my first turn, I basically thought, I measured it out and If I killed the front first few dogs from the unit, he wouldn't be able to charge me next turn, which would keep me in the game. So I decided to go for it, stood the Riptide still, double fired, hail of fire, quad fired the SMSs, shot everything into the unit of dogs, and I think I killed 4 or 5, and that was exactly enough to stop him charging next turn, put him at about 25 inches, which is perfect. His turn, he shot me again with my own unit, this time not killing anything. And then my turn, all my reserves came in. He actually failed invis that turn as well. So I struck back quite hard, shot with the Riptides in, shot with Warp Hunters, shot with Spiders, shot with everything. Killed all the dogs except for one. Killed Cypher, killed a Sorcerer as well. Did a lot of damage. And from there, I basically stayed away from the Death Star. I fed him a unit of 3 Riptides to keep him happy, and then the rest of the units boosted onto objectives for the end of the game. So I won that quite comfortably, 34-0. So then I moved on to round 2 against another nasty list. So it was a Iron Hands command squad with the 4-up Feel No Pain, Grav Guns, Storm Shield on everybody, a conclave of 3 librarians, all with axes. He had a Chapter Master with a Gorgon's Chain for the 3-up Feel No Pain. He had Azrael for a 4-up Invulnerable. He had a unit of Centurions. He had Kotias. He had some scouts and artillery as well, I think. So very nasty list, very resilient, 4-up Invulnerable and everything, 4-up Feel No Pain, plus Psychic Powers. I had first turn, so I decided to set up aggressively despite Azrael seizing on a 5-up with reroll from Kotias, because I had to go for it. Unfortunately, he did seize, he scouted into my face, he got off invis, shot grav guns into everything, killed a Riptide, I think, and a Warp Hunter. I basically hit back, killed everything that I could, so I ignored the Bike Star, killed everything else on the table, and then for the rest of the game, I was running away from that unit, picking off Librarians where I could, and scoring a Maelstrom. So won that as well in the end comfortably, 34-0. Moved on to round 3, which was against a Brass Scorpion Chaos list with a Land Raider, Karna Betrayer with some Berserkers. He had a Chaos Lord on a Juggernaut. He had some Spawn, a Mauler Fiend, I think, and some Cultists. So he went first, ran everything at me like he had to, hoping to survive, and then basically 2 Warp Hunters shot at the Brass Scorpion and killed it quite easily. Just too many D hits. And then the Riptides double shot and killed the entire unit of Spawn, the Lord, and the Mauler Fiend. So quite a brutal turn for him. Can't have been much fun, but I guess that's sometimes what happens when you take really expensive models to tournaments. So we shook hands on turn 2 or turn 3, I can't remember, and it was another 34-0 victory. Then day 2, I had to play against my brother with the 8 Riptide lists, which was great, and the 5 Tetras. He had first turn. He also had the Infiltrate Warlord trait, and set up really aggressively. I set up defensively, tried to bait him into shooting the Farseer by putting the Farseer by himself out front, and putting the Spiders out front as well in his range. So he did. He went for it and killed the Farseer, killed the Spiders, and I think he killed 1 Riptide as well after double shooting. So I managed to keep the Warp Hunters alive, which was what I needed, and shot back. I think I killed 2 Riptides or maybe 3 Riptides turn 1 with Warp Hunter Blast, which was very good. And then from there, it was we were just tearing each other apart basically, and it ended with me higher on Maelstrom by quite a bit with just 2 Warp Hunters alive, 1 with no gun, and I think he had 3 Tetras and a Riptide on 1 wound. So that was the type of game that was. But again, another victory, so had 4 wins under the belt now. Quite happy with that. And then went into round 5, which is against Ben. So he's a player for the Scotland ETC team, very good player. He had a nasty Iron Star list, so bike unit with Feel No Pain. He had Kotias, he had an Inquisitor with grenades, he had Saint Celestine, a couple of priests for the reroll saves. He had a conclave of 4 librarians. He had a Chapter Master, and then he had some small units for objectives as well. And this was Purge the Alien with no objectives at all. So a very difficult mission for me, but luckily I had first turn. However, it was Vanguard strikes, so he had quite a lot of space to deploy so that I could only get the minimum amount of hits with my Warp Hunters turn 1, and I only killed, I think, 2 or 3 models. turn 1, so not good enough at all. And then he just invised up, charged at me. He was right next to me on turn 1 with a 24-inch move. And from there, I was basically running away from him, trying to minimise the damage he could do. And then I think the game ended 7-4 to him. So still quite close, but a good game nonetheless. And I think I ended 4th overall in the rankings out of 44, 46 or whatever. I think my gaming score was actually tied to the 3rd place player, but I must have lost a few points on, I don't know, painting or some additional extras that they include at Pompey. But still quite a good showing and a fun event.